Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Ease Brewing. Today we're going to take a look at the Mr. Beer kit. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about it and tell you a little bit about some of the customer service experience I've had, as well as we're going to do a taste test on some of the beer that was done with it, and we'll go from there. All right, looking forward to it.
Okay, so here's the Mr. Beer kit. Now, the coolest thing about the Mr. Beer kit is if you've never brewed beer before, or if you have no equipment, you can pick up this kit and you're going to be able to do beer like that day. You're going to be brewing stuff up and getting her going. So let's take a look at a couple of things that you get with it. So first of all, you're going to get the fermenter keg. That's right here. It's about a 2 gallon, so I mean it's not huge, but it's good enough to get you going. Bunch of bottles. There's only a few there, but they give you enough to do the 2 gallons with. Instructions obviously are a good thing to have. Comes with a malt extract. I'm going to show you. That's a different one than I got. I actually had the Canadian Blonde, but I've since picked up another one here, and that's the Czech Bohemian Pilsner. And we're gonna brew that up, and I'll show you all about that too. You get some sanitizer, so you can sanitize all your equipment. Brewer's yeast. Carbonation drops. Now, carbonation drops, you put those in your beer after you're done fermenting it, when you're bottling it, and that'll give you carbonation. Full instructions on how to do it all, and that's basically everything you get. So like I said, if you've never brewed beer before, you could actually pick up this kit and be brewing beer that day. So that's kind of a really cool thing about it. So a little thing I was going to tell you about, there was a little, I mean, quality-wise, let's take a look at quality. I mean, she's pretty straight up. I mean, for what you pay for it, depending on where you're at, you're going to pay anywhere from 35 to 60 bucks, depending on what country you're in. I paid about $59 for this because I'm from Canada. So I thought it was a pretty good deal for what you get and the quality and stuff like that. Now, I did have a little bit of a problem. I'll show you that here right away. Okay, so the problem I had with the Mr. Beer keg fermenter here, as you can see, it's kind of hard to tell, but where the seam is here, it's actually a raised ridge right there. So what ends up happening is you have this spigot that you put in there, and the spigot has a rubber grommet or whatever you want, washer, whatever you want to call it, and it seals up against here. Well, the problem is because of this raised ridge right here, we had some leaking coming out of it. And it was leaking like crazy, and it had, luckily I was able to actually play around with this. It took forever, I'm telling you, to adjust it, and I finally was able to actually get it to seal up. But I mean, it's a defect nonetheless. So what did I do? I contacted Mr. Beer, and I said, hey, this is the deal I'm having, and they were really helpful with, they're like, yeah, for sure, send us some pictures and we'll get you fixed up. So I took some pictures, some close-up pictures of it, and sent it off to Mr. Beer. And Mr. Beer said, the lady, actually I had a lady that I was emailing back and forth with. She said, for sure, send us a couple pictures. So I did that. And she says, hey, what's your address? For sure, we're going to send you out a replacement keg. So I was pretty stoked. I thought, man, that's some pretty good customer service.
Okay, so after I sent her my address, it was in Canada, I get an email back from her that says, "We're sorry, we don't ship to Canada." I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? So she emails me back and says, you're going to have to take it back to your retailer. Well, that's awesome. Sure, I'll take it back to the retailer, but unfortunately, Mr. Beer put this in their product right there. I don't know, it's kind of backwards for you, but it says, if you have any questions or concerns, please call Cooper's DIY at this number or contact us on our website. It says, do not return to your retailer. Do not return to your retailer. Okay, so what did I do? I took it back to the retailer. I said, okay, well, Mr. Beer tells me I got to take it back to the retailer. Sure. Guess what retailer says? Nope, not happening. Sorry, you got to take it to the manufacturer. So I contacted her back. Nothing. Didn't even get a response. I was pretty upset. And so, I'm like, we don't ship to Canada? Well, what is this, the 1890s? 1850s? Come on. Have you ever heard of a thing called UPS? FedEx? USPS? I think if you pay them a little bit extra money, they'll even ship you stuff overnight. So, I thought that was a crock of crap, man, because we don't ship to Canada. Well, for one thing, yeah, you do ship to Canada because you have your product shipped to all the Canadian retailers. So obviously you do. But you know what? So I sent her back. I said, you know what? I'll be doing a review. I'll be telling people what kind of customer service. I mean, honestly, let's think about this. It would have taken nothing to keep a customer happy, and you know, pop one in the mail or FedEx, UPS. You know, that's kind of a cop out if you ask me that you can't ship to Canada, because obviously you do. And you know what, Mr. Beer, if you're not going to back up your product in the country you're shipping it to, don't sell your product in our country, because you know what, I'm screwed here because my retailer says, nope, we've got an out, and you say, nope, we don't ship to Canada. So basically, just so everybody knows out there, if you're going to buy a Mr. Beer kit, awesome kit, but if you have any problems with it, you're pretty much shit out of luck. So just know that. Anyway, so I was pretty ticked off about that, and I told her, and I even sent her a picture of what they sent in the kit about not being able to take it to the retailer. Still got no response. And that was the end of it. They didn't even care about the customer service aspect. They just basically, we don't ship to Canada. See ya. So, anyways, overall, good kit. Was able to brew up a nice little batch, and we're gonna do a little taste test here. All right, let's take a look at the beer that was brewed using this kit. Okay, so I had a Canadian Blonde. That was what I brewed. I had it, it says to keep it in the fermenter for about anywhere from 7 to probably around 14 days. Now, I left mine go a little bit, I was still fermenting, so I mean there were still bubbles coming up and whatnot. So I let it sit for about 16 days before I bottled it. And then what I did is I put it in bottles, and I let it sit there and carbonate for about 3 weeks, and then I cold conditioned it for about a week in the fridge. So it's been about 4 weeks since it's been bottled. So let's pour one and taste it and see what happened. See if it was any good actually. So we got some fizz pop there, so that's always a good sign. All right, got some good carbonation there. You can see it's pretty good. A little bit of head there, not too much though. So not a lot of head retention on there, but there's no dry malt extract or anything when you brew this. It's just the straight up kit. So all right, let's take a look at it. Wow, that is nice and clear. Like, look at that. That is clear as can be. Not bad for a homebrew kit, not gonna lie. So honestly though, it was a Canadian Blonde. This is a lot more amber than a Canadian Blonde. I wouldn't say as dark as an amber ale, but it's definitely darker than a Canadian Blonde. So smells like a decent beer. It smells like a bit of an ale, but not too hoppy. Decently malty though. Let's give it a try. That's a good beer. Not a lot of head retention, as you can see. Lacks a little bit of body, but overall, I mean, for making a home brew in that little kit, it's pretty decent. It's got some good carbonation. It's got a nice aftertaste. It's a little sweeter than I would like. I mean, if you wanted to, you could balance that out by adding a little bit of hops or a hop tea when you're brewing it. You'll see that in one of my other videos, but definitely a session ale. Sessionable for sure. I mean, it's not overpowering in alcohol. They say it's about a 3.7 to about 4% alcohol. So it's not going to lay you out on your butt, but it's definitely going to give you a nice little buzz over a session. So if that's what you're looking for, I'd have to say overall, it's a really good beer. So my overall ratings on the Mr. Beer kit, I'd have to say the kit itself, for what you get for what you pay for, I would probably go with about a 3.5 out of 5. The only reason being is because it was a little bit of a manufacturer's defect. Otherwise, I would have given it a 4. Pretty good. I mean, it's not overall crazy awesome quality, so it definitely doesn't warrant a 5 out of 5. The beer itself, you know what? I'm going to give this one a 4 because, to be honest with you, it's a really good beer. The Canadian Blonde is a really good beer. Like I said, it's a little bit more amber than a blonde, but, you know, overall, it's a really good beer. I would definitely make this one again. It's really good. Yeah, so 4 out of 5 for the beer. The Canadian Blonde anyways. I will be reviewing some of the other flavors that Mr. Beer has. Customer service, definitely a negative 5 out of 5. I mean, like I said, they just weren't willing to actually even care about the customer in Canada here. So, hey, maybe the customer service is better somewhere else in the world, but in Canada, definitely it sucks. You know, she didn't care whatsoever about the fact that all she had to do was really honestly pop a replacement keg in the mail. We don't ship to Canada. Okay, sure. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the review. You know, like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy your beer. Cheers.